What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Albert channel. Today we'll be going all the markets again as usual. Today it's a weekend day, so I don't expect a lot of volume to be given today. When we are trading the weekends, the volume usually occurs on the Sunday and not on the Monday. So on the Sunday and not on the Saturday, I mean. I'm a bit tired today, so if I make any mistakes in terms of speaking, just catch me some slack today. But we are currently trading in this range, which we have liquidity on both sides. We have an interim level right here, which if we start to break this, we could maybe take a very short scalp back to these highs and then react to what price will do right here. So I do think we have two logical scenarios where we either sweep those lows and then reverse back up, or we sweep that high, reverse back down, and then later we trade back up right around that Sunday or Monday. So I think we really will be trading inside of this for the rest of the day, to be honest, and then just get a logical setup on the Sunday, which I don't really like in making these market outlooks on the Saturday because the market's just usually quite shit. And I like volume, and when there is low volume, yeah, there really aren't that great trades for me. On a logic perspective, and I will explain this concept to you guys right here with this Bybit chart, so there aren't any drawings, because that's a thing people need to understand. Okay, now look at this range, because thing I keep saying, like when there's low volume, there aren't any trades or there are bad setups. But let's identify that range again, right? We have these 2 points. So we had this high and we had this low. Now you already should see that I've drawn a Fibonacci right around here. See where this is currently that range you're trading in. And now let's go onto that 1 minute. Because this is the thing where I live. I live on that 15-second chart, 5-second chart, right? So what do you already see? You need to know that this range has been valid from this point to this point. So everything inside of here is irrelevant because the levels were really not made for this part of price action, but everything after this move has been made. So this point till this point, and now we look at the range, right? Because before the range did not exist. So we are looking at these small rotations, but this is the thing I don't really like to do in these market outlooks. But because today the market is shit anyways, I will explain a little bit more instead of doing a market outlook. So what can we see? Price ramping up, getting back into this candle, right into that rejection candle, which also is correlating with the 0.75 level of the range. What do we get? A little bit of a rollover, where here we create the conical lower high. After this we get a short rotation, right? But here you already should see how little time you have to enter, right? Around here, okay, here you had 10 minutes to enter the trade, because really here this really would have been your confirmation, so really you would have only had about 2 minutes of time to enter this trade. And then comes the thing, let's say you really entered the trade. Now you only had about 47 minutes inside of this trade, but look where your perfect exit was. This only was a 2-minute time period. So with these short-term rotations, you really need to be quick at the entries and at those exits. And yet again, we have that 0.25. What do we start to get? I could almost copy paste this right into here, where now, instead of us rolling over this way, we're rolling over the other way, right? You see how price is rolling up this. So you see here, almost double bottom is made, but logical higher low is made. We start rotating back up. So this is the thing I really wanted to point out real quick. because you already should see there are more of these rotational moves, but they are just very short and very quick. And especially on those weekend days, there's low volume, so these moves normally would be like 0.8 to 0.9% rotations, but currently if we just, I'm quite sure it's like 0.5%. From here, no, it's even less right now, because the volume is just so low. So here, it would only be a 0.4% move, and you have to be really quick to take this. So these really are just not the moments I prefer to trade. But I wanted to teach this concept right here, where you see these quick rotations and you just find your range and you trade those extremes. And from here to here, you don't do anything. You want to do it above here or below here. This is the rule of the slaughterhouse. If you want a deeper explanation about this type of analysis, make sure to search for this on my channel. Should be in the educational playlist, so keep that in mind. And don't forget this concept, because I will keep using this a lot. But let's go back to that main chart where we're just chopping in between these levels. Yeah, it's just us trading this range, or you're not trading at all. And I think it's better to not trade at all on the Saturdays. But on the Sundays, we will have to be a little bit prepared. So I think the most logical setup we should be getting is this one, but without a deviation at the upside. So I think from here, we will deviate to the downside and then start to reverse back up. Right, so keep that in mind, but I don't think this trade will be on the Saturday. I think if we really get the setup, it should occur on the Sunday. So keep this setup in mind, and those only two crucial levels really to look at are these two on those lower time frames. And if we break down from this and we don't reclaim, we should logically trade into this level. So keep that in mind, just play this lower time frame range, because it's low volume, so you need those lower time frames right now if you really want to trade. But let's go into ETH. Like I say that I'm more bullish on ETH than most tokens, and especially Bitcoin. But currently it just has been showing a little bit of weakness, that if we see this, we have been chopping down, while BTC was perfectly sideways. You see? So on the recent accumulation, there have been more buyers on BTC than on ETH. So keep that in mind, that until we flip the 0.5 level, I do think BTC will be the stronger pair to trade until we flip this level. And what don't we want to lose? We really would like to get a sandwich in between the levels and then start breaking up. What don't we want to see is finding acceptance below this again, because then we will be chopping around like this again, and maybe even break down. So what do we want to hold? This area, and next up that blue line. And if you want the perfected levels, right there. So now if you can read them, 249.1, 2409. So watch those levels for ETH, and let's get into that BTC volume chart. As we know that range, where are the extremes? Right here, right here. So you already see I've mapped out the scenario that if we are given a pattern like this, can occur on the 5 minutes, can occur on the 30 minutes, but just a logical formation like this, then I would really like to trade it right around that Sunday area. But Saturdays are just a little bit shit. So I really haven't looked at the markets today, so for me it's taking it all in at the same time as you guys. So yeah, I really don't like to be trading this type of shit. Just too low in volume. I usually like ranges, but this is a range with so little volume. But if you guys really want to be taking a trade, this looks like a good one. So what do we have here? What do we have here? What do we have here? We have your low, we have a previous high, which initiated that move towards the downside, and we broke that high, right? So there is the chance of this being a higher low. And if that's the case, then we should have a setup like this, which could be quite well. So what will be your invalidation? It's the wrong one. I need a long position instead of a short position. We could get a sweep of this level, but if we don't, we don't, right? But how do we play this again? I can't keep explaining this concept, but by now you should know I don't really use a stop loss. I use alerts and I use invalidations, right? So we can get a sweep and then get this. If I would have a stop here, I would be stopped out. So what do I allow myself? I allow the price to move 2 candles away from the wick, but then it needs to reclaim it quite quickly, right? Within like 3 candles. So if we, instead of this, get something like this, now I would cut the trade here, right around here. Because what do I want? If we really go back towards this low, it should be a sweep. So it should be this with explosion, right? And if we don't get back above that wick, it will most likely continue down, right? So then we should get some shit like this. So if we really do get something like this, I would rather cut the trade than stay inside of the trade and then perhaps even get a lower entry. But like I stated, this is a Saturday and I don't really like trading these low volume days of the week. But this could be a logical setup if we get this, but like you should see already, the upside versus downside is quite low, but this upside is just really not the thing I'm looking for. Because if you would trade this with 100x leverage, it would still only be a 15% move. So yeah, I would rather have like a 0.3% at the upside. And then of course the downside can also be 2 times larger, right? So that's really not, the downside is, the stop is quite great, but I would rather like to see the trade like this. Which could be possible, but we should play it a little bit safe since it's a weekend. And we logically would TP right around here and then watch how it reacts to see if we fully close it or that we keep a partial for the case of that, for price keeping to break. So keep that in mind, but this could be a setup. So I do think I will be taking it myself. Yeah, it looks quite decent for lower time frame play. Yeah, 1 second, I'm taking it right now. Yep, we in. So right around here is my entry. And keep this in mind that if we sweep it, I will stay in unless we sweep it and we don't reclaim it. Then I will cut the trade, right? So keep this shit in mind. I hope you liked the video. Normally, I really do a lot more in terms of the higher time frame trades, but yeah, it's a Saturday and I don't really like low volume on those higher time frame charts. So this is the setup for today. I hope you guys are quick enough to take it with me. And if it turns out to be a loss, it's a loss and we'll keep it till next day, which on the Sunday prices usually are a bit more explosive with higher volume. So I like the odds a lot better on the Sunday. And this is a thing I will end it with. This is how you can analyze yourself and improve your win rate. When you trade each day of the week, journal. Just write all of your trades down. The performance, the entry, what price you entered, what price you exited, how much the risk was, how much the upside was that you made, and also the win rate of that day. Because it is likely to occur that, let's give an example. On the Monday, you make 3%. On the Tuesday, you lose 1%. On that Wednesday, you make 7%. On the Thursday, you lose 3%, and on the Friday, you go break even. You don't make a single penny. And then on the weekend, you lose 3%, 3%. And this week turned out to be a loser. Why? Because you were trading the weekends. But this pattern can be different for everyone. Because it can also be that you're shit at trading on the weekdays. And you're really good at those weekends. And you're most profitable on the weekends because there's such a lack of volume. And this is something that you can use if you get good at it, right? So this is a thing I wanted to point out. Study yourself like you would analyze a trade, right? And this same goes for certain setups. So let's say you're trading that London Open, that New York Open, the daily close reversion, the 1930 drop, where it usually creates a pivot at around 1930 till 2130. And then you just compare the performance and the win rate of all of these different timings, different days, and just pick those setups and pick those days where you are most successful. Because why would you trade a day where you already found your performance is shit on that day when you compare it to other days, right? So I wanted to point this out, and I will end it right here. So for ETH, quite logical. We want to hold this low right around here. We want to break up from the 0.5 level. And for BTC, I shed a scalp. But on a higher time frame, you really want to see one of these types of moves around those purple lines. So for the scalp, it is looking like this right now. So keep it in mind, I will be TPing here a little bit. Well, I'm saying a little bit, I will TP 80% here, and if it starts to reverse, I will close the remaining 20%. If it starts moving up, good, I'm still in with 20%. Right? So keep in mind, this is the setup how I will be playing it for today. But keep in mind that those Saturdays usually are quite shit to trade. So EBTC, we want to reclaim the 0 to 5 level, because otherwise we will be chopping in between these levels again. For BTCD, we want to find acceptance below this and not above this. Well, if we find acceptance above this, BTC just should keep going up, but alts won't do well, and BTC will be outperforming most alts. Right? So this really is a trigger point for me to look at alts. If we start getting something like this, well, ETH should be doing something like this at the same time. Right? So keep those two setups in mind. And like usual, guys, hope you liked the video. Drop a like and comment down below if you stuck all the way towards the end of the video. Because then I hope you learned something about the journaling and how you can analyze yourself and prolong your performance and prolong your win rate. Because that's really what matters. It doesn't really matter like how you're trading. It matters how you adapt in terms of your trading. So if you're losing on certain days a lot, why trade that day? Trade the days you are profitable at. Trade the days that over a time period of about a couple months, you make structural profits on X day or on X setup, right? So I hope you liked the video, and like usual, keep trading, guys. Goodbye.